Maya worldview. Picture this. It's 900 AD, and a Maya priest stands at the edge of a cenote, his feathered headdress trembling in the humid Yucatan breeze. The crowd falls silent, their eyes locked on a young boy adorned in jade, his chest painted with sacred symbols. Chanting rises, drums pound, and the boy steps forward, not toward death, but towards Xibalba, the Maya underworld. This isn't just a sacrifice, it's a bridge between worlds. Now fast forward to 2025, and we're still obsessed with this moment. Why? Because the Maya's death rituals, gruesome, spiritual, and mysterious, are trending like never before. From Netflix's ancient mystery documentaries to X threads blowing up with LiDAR scans of lost Maya cities, we can't get enough of how the Maya faced death. It's like Indiana Jones crashed into the Last of Us darkest underworld vibes. In a post-COVID world, where we've all stared mortality in the face, their rituals hit different. They weren't just killing time, they were decoding existence. So, what drove the Maya to offer human hearts to their gods? How did they bury their kings with treasures to outsmart a terrifying afterlife? And why are cenotes, those Instagram famous sinkholes, still haunting us? The Maya built pyramids that rival Egypt's, calculated eclipses without telescopes, and wrote books that survived Spanish bonfires. But their death rituals? They're the real headliner. Today, we're diving into the heart of their world. Human sacrifices that shocked archaeologists, burials that rewrote history, Xibalba's nightmare realm, and cenotes as portals to the gods. This isn't just history. It's a 2,000-year-old thriller that's more gripping than any Netflix true crime doc. If you're like me, use Scroll X for the latest archaeology bombshells or binge YouTube for ancient mysteries. Maybe you've even swum in a cenote, wondering what secrets it hides. This journey is for you. We're uncovering the Maya's death rituals, and trust me, it's wilder than anything Hollywood could dream up. Plus, we'll connect it to 2025's hottest trends. Think TikTok's cenote craze, X's hashtag Maya rediscovered hype, and our own big questions about life and death. Before we dive into the blood and bones, let's set the stage. How did the Maya see death? Spoiler, it wasn't the end. It was a ticket to the most epic, terrifying road trip ever. Stick around, hit that subscribe button, and let's unravel the mysteries together. Oh, and drop a comment. What ancient culture fascinates you? Tag a friend who'd geek out over this. To the Maya, death wasn't a full stop. It was the start of a blockbuster sequel. Your soul didn't just fade away. It embarked on a journey to Xibalba, a place so wild it makes Stranger Things' upside down look like a theme park. Xibalba wasn't just an underworld. It was a sprawling city of death gods, deadly traps, and trials that tested every ounce of your courage. And in 2025, when we're all grappling with what comes next, thanks post-COVID vibes, the Maya's take on death feels like a masterclass in facing the unknown. As the Popol Vuh, the Maya's sacred book, tells us, Xibalba was ruled by death gods with names like One Death and Seven Death. Sounds like a heavy metal band, right? Their realm had houses of darkness, jaguars, and even a ball game where losing meant losing your head. If you're into 2025's gaming trends, think of Xibalba as the ultimate Dungeons and Dragons campaign, except the stakes were eternal. Every soul had to navigate this maze, facing trials like rivers of pus or scorpions. Survive, and you might join the gods. Fail? You're stuck in the dark. How did you get to Xibalba? Through cenotes, those crystal-clear sinkholes that are now TikTok's favorite backdrop. To the Maya, cenotes weren't just water sources. They were gateways to the underworld, sacred portals to commune with gods like Chak, the rain deity. Today, you'll see influencers posing in cenote at kill, their reels racking up millions of views. But 1,000 years ago, priests tossed offerings, jade, pottery, even human lives, into these waters to reach Xibalba. It was like the Maya's version of a cosmic DM to the divine. The Maya's whole worldview was cyclical, life, death, and rebirth tied to the stars and their sacred maze. Their maze god died and rose again, like a cosmic superhero. Sound familiar? In 2025, wellness gurus on X are all about rebirth and healing cycles, channeling the same vibes. The Mayas saw death as part of this loop, not something to fear, but to prepare for. And prepare they did, with rituals that make our modern funerals look like a quick Zoom call. Xibalba wasn't just a myth, it was real to the Maya. Caves like those near Coban, Guatemala, were seen as entrances to this underworld, and they're still spiritual hotspots for modern Maya communities. Ex-users are buzzing about these caves, posting drone footage with captions like, "Is this Xibalba's front door?" The Mayas' beliefs weren't abstract. They were grounded in the land, the stars, and the cenotes that still draw millions today. The Greeks had Hades, the Egyptians had the Duat. Every culture has its underworld. But the Mayas' version stands out for its grit and grandeur. In a world where we're all searching for meaning, scrolling X for answers, or binging TED Talks on mortality, the Mayas' roadmap to the afterlife feels like a wake-up call. They didn't just face death, they danced with it. Okay, how epic is Xibalba? It's like the Maya wrote a fantasy novel before fantasy was a thing. What do you think it'd be like to face those trials? Would you outsmart the death gods or get stuck in the house of bats? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this journey going. Next up, human sacrifice. Yeah, it's intense, but it's not what you think. It wasn't about cruelty. It was about connecting with the divine in ways that'll make you rethink everything. Stay tuned, because this is where the Maya story gets real. Human sacrifice. We've just stepped into the Maya's world, where death wasn't an end, but a wild journey to Xibalba, their underworld of death gods and deadly trials. It's like a fantasy epic crossed with a 2025 gaming quest, and the Maya were all in. But now, we're diving into the part of their story that grabs headlines and sparks debates. Human sacrifice. Yes, it's intense. Hearts were cut out, bodies tossed into cenotes, blood spilled to please the gods. But before you picture a horror movie, let's unpack this. The Maya's sacrifices weren't about cruelty. They were a sacred act, as spiritual as a modern pilgrimage and as dramatic as anything Netflix's true crime docs could serve up. In 2025, when we're glued to X threads about ancient mysteries or binging shows like The Serpent Queen, the Maya's rituals feel like a real-life Hunger Games. Shocking, yes, but layered with meaning. So, who did they sacrifice? Why? And what do those cenotes, now TikTok's favorite swim spots, have to do with it? Let's find out. Imagine a bustling Maya city like Chichen Itza, its pyramids gleaming under a scorching sun. It's a big day, a ritual to honor Chak, the rain god, because the crops are wilting and the people are desperate. The crowd gathers at the sacred cenote, a massive sinkhole with water so deep it seems to swallow light. A young boy, maybe 10 years old, stands at the edge, his body painted blue, jade beads around his neck. He's not a random victim. He's been chosen, maybe even trained for this moment. To the Maya, he's a messenger, a bridge to the gods. The priests chant, the drums thunder, and then, splash, he's cast into the cenote, sinking into Xibalba's embrace. Sound brutal? It was. But to the Maya, this was no different from a soldier dying for their country or a martyr sacrificing for their faith. It was an honor, a cosmic deal to keep the world spinning. Who were these sacrifices? Not just anyone. Captives from rival cities, especially warriors, were prime candidates. Think defeated athletes in a high-stakes game. Nobles sometimes volunteered, believing their blood would elevate them to godlike status. And then there were children, often boys, chosen for their purity. Just last year, in 2024, a bombshell study in Nature dropped and X went wild. Scientists analyzed DNA from bones in Chichen Itza's sacred cenote and found something unexpected. Most victims were young boys, often related, sometimes even twins. Twins. It's like the Maya were scripting a tragedy worthy of Shakespeare. This flipped old assumptions that only young women were sacrificed, and ex-users called it the Maya's real-life Hunger Games. The study's still trending, with hashtags like #MayaMysteries racking up views, because it reminds us how much we're still learning about these people. How did they do it? The methods were as varied as they were vivid. Heart extraction was the headliner. Priests used obsidian blades, sharper than surgical steel, to cut open the chest and offer the still-beating heart to the gods. It's the stuff of Apocalypto's most chilling scenes, but it was over fast, and the crowd saw it as a sacred performance. Decapitation was another method, especially in ball games where the losing team's captain might lose his head, literally. Then there were the cenote sacrifices, like the boy we imagined. Victims were sometimes drowned, sometimes thrown in alive, their bodies joining piles of jade, gold, and pottery at the cenote's bottom. These weren't just offerings, they were gifts to gods like Chak, ensuring rain, fertility, and cosmic order. Bloodletting went hand in hand, where nobles pierced their tongues or ears with stingray spines, their blood a direct line to the divine. Gruesome? Absolutely. But as spiritual as a modern fast or a marathon for charity. Those cenotes were the stage for some of the Maya's most dramatic moments. The sacred cenote at Chichen Itza, nearly 200 feet wide, was like a cosmic mailbox. Archaeologists have pulled out treasures, jade masks, gold bells, even human skulls, proof of centuries of offerings. In 2025, these finds are all over TikTok, with diverse filming eerie underwater shots tagged #CenoteSecrets. But back then, every splash was a prayer, every body a plea for the gods' favor. The Maya believed the cenote's depths led straight to Xibalba, and the victims weren't just dying, they were delivering a message. It's wild to think that today, tourists swim in these same waters, snapping selfies where priests once changed the fate of empires. If you've ever visited a cenote, you felt that eerie pull, that sense of something ancient watching. Why did they do it? Survival for one. The Maya lived in a tough world. Droughts could wipe out crops, and the gods needed convincing to send rain. Sacrifices were reciprocity, a give and take with the divine. But it was also about cosmic balance. The Maya saw the universe as a delicate machine, and human blood was the oil that kept it running. In 2025, our true crime obsession, think Netflix's Night Stalker or Dahmer, makes us quick to judge, but the Maya's sacrifices weren't about madness or malice. They were as logical as our own rituals, like donating to charity or voting to change the future. And let's be real, our culture's no stranger to sacrifice. From soldiers to first responders, we honor those who give everything for a cause. The Maya just took it to a cosmic level. This isn't to say it's easy to stomach. When I first read about the nature study on X with those young boys in the cenote, it hit hard. But the more you learn, the more you see the Maya's logic. They weren't barbarians, they were poets of the afterlife, writing their story in blood and jade. And they're not so different from us. Just look at how we mythologize our heroes. Marvel's Avengers sacrificing for the universe isn't far off from a Maya noble giving their life for the gods. So, would you visit the sacred cenote knowing what happened there? Could you stand at its edge and feel the weight of 1,000 years? Drop a comment and let me know. Have you been to a cenote, or is it on your bucket list? And share this with a friend who loves a good mystery. We've only scratched the surface. The Maya didn't just sacrifice, they buried their dead with care that rivals any modern memorial. From kings in pyramid tombs to farmers under house floors, their burials were a love letter to the afterlife. And Xibalba? That underworld is about to get even wilder. Stick with me, because next we're exploring how the Maya sent their dead to face the gods, and trust me, it's as epic as any 2025 blockbuster. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep diving into the Maya's world. Burial practices. The Maya's world is a wild ride, isn't it? We've walked the edge of cenotes, felt the pulse of human sacrifices, and glimpsed Xibalba's terrifying trials. It's like a 2025 blockbuster crossed with a TikTok archaeology trend. And we're not done yet. Those sacrifices were about reaching the gods, but what about the everyday Maya? The kings, the farmers, the families? How did they say goodbye to their dead? The answer lies in their burial practices, a mix of jaw-dropping grandeur and quiet intimacy that makes our modern memorials feel like a quick Instagram post. From pyramid tombs glittering with jade to simple graves under house floors, the Maya sent their dead to Xibalba with care, courage, and a whole lot of style. In a world where ex-users are buzzing about new Maya tomb discoveries and we're all rethinking legacy, Hello, 2025's green burial craze. These rituals hit close to home. Let's step into the Maya's final farewells and see what they can teach us. Picture a royal funeral in Palenque, around 700 AD. The great King Kinich Janab, Pakal, has just died, and the city is alive with mourning. Priests in feathered cloaks lead a procession up the Temple of the Inscriptions, a pyramid that towers like a stone mountain. Inside, Pakal's body is laid in a sarcophagus carved with gods and ancestors, his face covered by a jade mask so intricate it's like the Grammy Award of the ancient world. Jade beads, stingray spines, and pottery filled with food surround him, tools for his Xibalba journey. The tomb is sealed, the pyramid his eternal throne. When archaeologists uncovered Pakal's tomb in the 1950s, it went viral. Well, as viral as the 1950s could get. Today, ex-users post 3D scans of that jade mask with captions like Maya bling goals, and it's easy to see why. This wasn't just a burial, it was a cosmic send-off, ensuring Pakal's soul could outsmart Xibalba's death gods. But not every Maya was a king. For regular folks, farmers, weavers, traders, burials were simpler, yet just as meaningful. Imagine a family in a small village grieving a loved one. They don't have a pyramid, so they dig a grave under their house floor, right where the family eats and sleeps. The body is wrapped in cloth, placed with a few treasures, a clay pot, a maize cake, maybe a bone needle for the afterlife's work. Why under the house? Because the land was sacred, tying ancestors to the living. It's like the Maya's version of a family tree, rooted in the earth. In 2025, we're seeing a trend of legacy gardens, where people scatter ashes in their backyards to stay close to loved ones. Sound familiar? The Maya were way ahead of us, making their homes a bridge to Xibalba. What did they bury with their dead? Grave goods were like an afterlife survival kit. Kings got the VIP treatment. Pakal's tomb had obsidian blades and seashells symbolizing the underworld waters. Commoners got practical stuff: food, water, tools to navigate Xibalba's trials. Stingray spines used for bloodletting were a big deal. Nobles pierced their skin to offer blood, a direct line to the gods. The Popol Vuh tells us these goods weren't just decorations. They were weapons for the soul's battle against death gods. It's like packing a backpack for the toughest hike of your life, except the trail is a river of scorpions. If you're into time capsules, those trendy boxes we bury with photos and USB drives for future generations, you'll get the Maya's vibe. Their graves were time capsules for eternity. Sometimes, cenotes played a role in burials, too. Not every body in a cenote was a sacrifice. Some were carefully placed, like an offering to Xibalba itself. Archaeologists have found skulls and bones in cenotes like a kill, alongside jade and pottery, suggesting these were sacred resting places. Today, travel vlogs on YouTube show divers exploring these underwater graves. Their GoPro footage tagged #CenoteSecrets. It's eerie to think that a tourist selfie spot was once a tomb, a place where the Maya whispered to the underworld. In 2024, LiDAR scans revealed new cenote burial sites, and X exploded with posts like "The Maya secrets are still spilling." These discoveries remind us how much the Maya's land still holds, waiting for us to listen. These burials weren't just about death, they were about legacy. The Maya believed ancestors stayed close, guiding the living from Xibalba. Kings like Pakal were practically gods, their tombs shrines for worship. Commoners, buried under homes, were family guardians. In 2025, we're obsessed with legacy. Think viral TikToks about what will you leave behind, or X threads debating AI-preserved memories. The Maya were asking the same question, answering with jade masks and house graves. Their burials feel like a love letter to the afterlife, written in stone and earth. So, what would you pack for your Xibalba journey? A phone charger? A favorite book? Drop a comment and tell me what's in your afterlife time capsule. And share this with someone who'd love to geek out over Maya history. We're not done yet. We've seen how the Maya sent their dead to Xibalba. But what about that underworld itself? Xibalba's more than a scary story. It's a saga of heroes, gods, and trials that's as epic as any Marvel movie. And those cenotes? They're about to take center stage as portals to the divine. Keep watching, because the Maya's mysteries are only getting deeper. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into the heart of Xibalba together. Xibalba, we've journeyed through the Maya's world, from the heart-pounding drama of human sacrifices to the tender care of their burials. Each step a bridge to Xibalba, their underworld. It's a story that feels like a 2025 gaming epic, with cenotes and jade masks trending on TikTok and X buzzing with every new Maya discovery. But now, we're going straight to the heart of the mystery, Xibalba itself. This wasn't just a spooky myth, it was a vivid, terrifying realm of death gods, cunning traps, and heroic triumphs that makes Avengers Endgame look like a warm-up act. In a world where we're all chasing epic stories, scrolling X for the next big mythology thread, or binging Netflix's latest fantasy saga, Xibalba's tale is more relevant than ever. And it's not just ancient history, it's a mirror to our own fears and dreams. So grab a seat, because we're about to face the Maya's underworld, and it's one wild ride. Close your eyes and imagine Xibalba. It's not some vague, shadowy hell. It's a sprawling city, alive with danger. Picture dark caves lit by flickering torches, where bat-filled chambers echo with the laughter of death gods. There's a ball court where losing means death, a house of darkness that swallows light, and a house of jaguars where claws wait in the shadows. The Popol Vuh, the Maya's sacred book, paints Xibalba as a place of trials, ruled by lords with names like One Death and Seven Death, who sound like they'd fit right into a 2025 death metal lineup. If you're a gamer, Xibalba's vibe is pure god of war, every step a test, every corner a threat. To the Maya, every soul faced this gauntlet, battling to prove their worth. Survive, and you might join the gods among the stars. Fail, and you're trapped in the dark forever. But Xibalba's story isn't just about fear, it's about hope, thanks to the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque. These two brothers, straight out of a Marvel movie script, were summoned to Xibalba to face the death gods in a cosmic showdown. The Popol Vuh tells how the lords tricked and tested them, sending them through houses of fire, knives, and bats. Sound intense? It was. But the twins were clever. They used magic, wit, and a whole lot of guts to outsmart their foes. In one epic moment, they even faked their own deaths, jumping into a fire only to rise again, like a plot twist worthy of Spider-Man. No Way Home. When they finally defeated the death gods, they became legends, proving that even Xibalba's worst could be conquered. In 2025, when we're all about resilience, think viral X posts on mental health or TED Talks on overcoming odds. The twin story feels like a battle cry for our own struggles. Xibalba wasn't just a story, it was a mindset. To the Maya, it was a metaphor for life's challenges, a reminder that every trial, from drought to war, was a test to be faced with courage. That's why their art and rituals are obsessed with the underworld. Stone carvings show the twins battling death gods, while cenotes and caves were seen as Xibalba's doorways. Caves near Coban, Guatemala, were especially sacred, and today, modern Mayas still honor them with rituals that draw spiritual tourists. YouTube travel vlogs are full of drone shots of these caves, tagged #MayaMysteries, with captions like Xibalba's real. The underworld's grip on our imagination hasn't faded. In 2025, X users compare Xibalba to everything from what we do in the shadows' vampire lairs to the dark worlds of Stranger Things. It's like the Maya wrote the blueprint for every epic fantasy we love. Those cenotes we keep circling back to, they were Xibalba's front gates. The Maya believed their turquoise depths led straight to the underworld, making them perfect for sacrifices, burials, and rituals. When priests tossed jade or bodies into the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza, they were sending offerings to Xibalba's lords. Today, influencers swim in these same waters, their TikTok reels oblivious to the ancient drama below. But the connection's still alive. Modern Maya communities revere cenotes, and X campaigns like #SaveTheCenotes are fighting to protect them from tourism's toll. Xibalba's legacy isn't just in dusty books, it's in the land, the water, and the stories we can't stop telling. Why does Xibalba still grab us? Because it's universal. The Greeks had Hades, the Norse had hell, But Xibalba's raw, chaotic energy feels like it was made for 2025's restless vibe. We're all facing our own underworlds, climate fears, AI uncertainties, or just the daily grind. The Hero Twins' victory reminds us we can fight back, whether it's posting about mental health on X or joining a hashtag climate action rally. The Maya didn't just survive Xibalba, they turned it into a story of triumph. So let's make this fun. If Xibalba had a movie villain, who'd rule it? Thanos? Vecna? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me, which modern hero could take on the Hero Twins? Share this with a friend who loves a good saga, because we're not done yet. Xibalba's epic, but the cenotes that led to it? They're the real stars. These sinkholes weren't just portals. They were the Maya's lifeline, their sacred pools. And now, they're a global obsession. From UNESCO sites to Instagram's favorite backdrop, cenotes are where the Maya's past and our present collide. Keep watching, because we're diving into these turquoise wonders next. And trust me, they're more than just a pretty view. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and let's keep unraveling the Maya's mysteries together. Cenotes. We ventured deep into the Maya's world, from the pulse of human sacrifices to the quiet reverence of their burials, and straight into Xibalba's wild underworld saga. It's like a 2025 fantasy epic, with every cenote and carving trending on X and TikTok as the Maya's mysteries keep stealing the spotlight. But now, we're turning to the beating heart of their spiritual world. Cenotes. These aren't just pretty sinkholes or Instagram's favorite swim spots. They were the Maya's sacred portals, their lifelines, and the gateways to Xibalba itself. In a world where we're all chasing beauty and meaning, think YouTube travel vlogs going viral or X campaigns like hashtag Save the Cenotes. These turquoise wonders bridge the ancient and the modern like nothing else. So let's dive into the cenotes, where the Maya's past whispers and 2025's obsessions collide. Picture a cenote in the Yucatan. It's water, so clear it's like staring into a mirror of the sky. Vines drape over limestone edges, and sunlight dances on the surface. But beneath lies a world of secrets. To the Maya, cenotes were more than geological marvels. They were the veins of the earth, pulsing with divine power. In a region with no rivers, these sinkholes were life itself, providing water for crops and cities like Chichen Itza. But they were also the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza was the ultimate stage. Nearly 200 feet wide, its dark waters swallowed countless offerings, gold bells, obsidian blades, pottery, and yes, human bones. Archaeologists diving in the 20th century pulled out treasures that tell the Maya story. And in 2025, those finds are still trending. YouTube channels like Nat Geo showcase underwater footage, showing skulls and jade alongside hashtags like hashtag #MayaRediscovered. The 2024 nature study we mentioned earlier, the one that blew up on X, revealed young boys among the cenotes' victims, often related, their bones resting with treasures meant for Xibalba. It's haunting, but it's also a time capsule, proof of how deeply the Maya believed in their cosmic deal with the gods. When you swim in a cenote today, snapping selfies for Instagram, you're floating above 1,000 years of prayers. Cenotes weren't just for sacrifices. They were woven into every part of Maya life. Priests performed rituals at their edges, burning incense and chanting to summon rain. Some cenotes, like those near Coban, Guatemala, were burial sites, where bodies were laid to rest as offerings to the underworld. The Maya saw these waters as alive, pulsing with Chak's power, and they weren't wrong. Cenotes are ecosystems, teeming with fish and plants. In 2025, that's a big deal. Environmentalists on X are rallying with hashtag Save the Cenotes, fighting pollution from tourism and climate change. Viral posts show trash in once pristine waters, with captions like "The Maya's sacred pools need us now." It's a wake-up call. Cenotes aren't just pretty, they're fragile, and their story is ours to protect. The modern Maya, over 6 million strong, still revere cenotes. In villages across the Yucatan, elders lead ceremonies at these sites, offering flowers and prayers, just as their ancestors did. YouTube documentaries, trending in 2025, capture these rituals, showing how the Maya's traditions endure despite centuries of change. It's a powerful reminder. Cenotes aren't relics, they're living links to a culture that's still here. Tourists might flock to cenote a kill for the gram, but for the Maya, it's a church, a history book, and a home. That duality, ancient sacredness meets modern obsession, makes cenotes so magnetic. In a world where we're all searching for connection, whether it's through X's, #Indigenous Voices, or wellness retreats chasing ancient wisdom, cenotes are a place where past and present swim together. So, have you ever visited a cenote? Stood at its edge? Felt that shiver of something ancient? Maybe you've added one to your travel list, dreaming of diving into that turquoise glow. Drop a comment and share your story. What's your dream cenote destination? And tag a friend who'd love to explore these portals with you. Cenotes are more than a backdrop. They're the Maya's gift to us, a reminder that beauty and mystery are worth preserving. We're almost at the end of our journey, but the Maya's legacy is still unfolding. From modern rituals to AI-driven discoveries, their story's alive in 2025, and it's about to get even bigger. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's see where the Maya take us next. Legacy. Why the Maya matter in 2025. We've swum through the turquoise depths of cenotes, faced Xibalba's death gods, and stood at the edge of Maya sacrifices and burials. It's been a journey worthy of a 2025 Netflix thriller, with every twist trending on X and TikTok as the Maya's mysteries keep captivating us. But what does it all mean today? The Maya aren't just a chapter in a history book, they're a living legacy. Their rituals and beliefs echoing in 2025's world of AI discoveries, indigenous pride, and our own search for meaning. With over 6 million modern Maya keeping their traditions alive, and cenotes drawing millions to the Yucatan, this ancient culture is as vibrant as ever. So let's wrap up our adventure by exploring the Maya's enduring impact and why their story matters to us, right here, right now. In 2025, the Maya are everywhere. Across Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize, their descendants, over 6 million strong, carry on rituals that honor cenotes' ancestors and the maize god. YouTube documentaries, trending this year, show elders burning incense at sacred sites, their chants a direct line to the past. These aren't just performances, they're a defiance of centuries of conquest, a reminder that the Maya's spirit never faded. On X, hashtags like #Indigenous Voices amplify these stories, with posts celebrating festivals where modern Maya dance under the same stars their ancestors mapped. It's a powerful vibe, like 2025's global push for cultural pride. From Native American Heritage Months in the US to land-back movements worldwide. The Maya's rituals, once misunderstood, now inspire respect, teaching us to listen to cultures that have outlasted empires. Archaeology's keeping the Maya in the headlines, too. In 2024, LiDAR scans revealed lost cities like Valeriana, and X went wild with 3D maps tagged #Maya Rediscovered. AI's now decoding Maya glyphs faster than ever, unlocking stories hidden for centuries. Just last year, the Nature study on Chichen Itza's cenote victims, those young boys we talked about, sparked viral debates on X, with users calling it history rewritten. These discoveries aren't just academic, they're personal. They remind us of our own curiosity, whether we're scrolling X for the latest breakthrough or binging TED Talks on ancient wisdom. The Maya's world is still unfolding, and we're all part of the story, from archaeologists to YouTubers like us. But the Maya's legacy isn't just about the past, it's about what we do next. Cenotes face pollution from tourism, and X campaigns like #SaveTheCenotes are rallying for their protection, sharing stark images of trash in sacred waters. It's a 2025 wake-up call, like #ClimateAction posts urging us to save coral reefs or forests. The Maya revered their land, and their story pushes us to do the same. Meanwhile, their view of death as a journey, not an end, hits hard in a post-COVID world. We're all asking big questions about mortality, legacy, and what we leave behind, whether it's through X threads on mental health or viral TikToks about living your truth. The Maya's answer was clear: face the trials, honor the cycle, and write your story with courage, like the hero twins outsmarting Xibalba. So, what can we take from the Maya? Their rituals, sacrifices, burials, cenote offerings weren't just strange customs. They were a roadmap for living bravely. In 2025, as we navigate AI's rise, climate fears, or just the daily grind, that roadmap feels like a gift. Visit a cenote, read the Popol Vuh, or join the hashtag Save the Cenotes movement. Every step connects you to their story. And let's keep learning not just about the Maya, but from them. What lesson hit you hardest today? Maybe it's the twins' resilience or the cenotes' sacredness. Drop it in the comments and let's inspire each other. Share this video with a friend who loves a good mystery, because the Maya story deserves to be heard. This journey's been epic, hasn't it? From blood-soaked cenotes to Xibalba's trials, the Maya's death rituals are as gripping as any Marvel saga and as deep as a TED Talk. They remind us that life, death, and everything in between is a story we get to write. I'm hooked, and I hope you are too. If you love this, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more ancient adventures. Next time, we're cracking open another mystery. Maybe Egypt, maybe Atlantis. Will you want to explore? Tell me in the comments. And let's keep the hashtag Maya Mysteries vibe going. Share your wildest Maya fact or tag someone who'd geek out over this. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.